Good morning from Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I am here today a week before the park opens because we're doing it behind the scenes. This is the first time they've done this at the weekend and well, there's lots of people here, so it should be good. Now yesterday Invictus was testing and it almost got to full height. I think Andy was saying one swing was full height and we might see that testing today, we might not. But I did this last year and it was fantastic because we saw the Flying Machine, Derby Racers, Icon, went up Revolution, saw Stageworx, and I know they've changed it up a little bit, so I'm really keen to see what is involved. So let's get inside and see some stuff that you don't normally get to see. Right, we're in the park and we've just had our little briefing of what is going on. It's raining, which is brilliant. The first thing we're going to do is look at wardrobe, and that is one thing I cannot show you. I have done this before and it is very impressive, so I will talk about it when I get out. We might see Invictus testing, but I'm not allowed to film that either, unfortunately. But everything else I will be able to film. So I'm going inside, hopefully it's nice and dry, well it should be, and I'll speak to you when I get out of wardrobe. No wigs.
Here is Adam, who I can never remember Adam's extensively long title, but Adam is...
It's been a long time coming, apparently. So I'm Adam, I'm the correct... I'm not, I've just said it wrong. I'm the Director of Creative Design and Experience for Pleasure Beach. So I have a department called Pleasure Beach Studios where we do AV, we do all the props, fabrication, all the artistic stuff on the park. We're only a small team, so we have quite a lot to do. This is quite a busy period for us coming up to park opening. And I also work with Stageworx, who do our shows here at Pleasure Beach, and we also produce costumes for other theme parks and venues around the world. So we're going to go into wardrobe, we're going to go up, I always say there's 2 flights of stairs to start with to go into the wardrobe store. So, wardrobe, I said the wrong word. So when you go in the store, we have 4 stores for costumes, and this is the largest one we're going to go through. And we have approximately, at the minute, last count was around 50 to 55,000 costumes that we have stored. So we have costumes going back quite a long time because quite often we repurpose them into a new costume or we hire them out to other companies to use. So we're going to go through that, and then we're going to go up to wardrobe itself, which is another 2 flights of stairs up. But it means at the end it's just all a downward spiral, so we get the hard bit out of the way first.
Right, well that might seem like seconds to you, but we've been inside for quite some time going through all the wardrobe, which I've seen before, and it is genuinely a side of Blackpool that you just don't appreciate is there, and it's fascinating. And it was Carly's favourite bit.
Oh yeah, I'd rather stay there.
Lots of feathers, lots of little sort of sequins and diamonds and stuff. Yeah, it's fascinating. Honestly, there's I think they said there's like 55,000 costumes in there, which is mental. But anyway, we're now heading towards Ghost Train, I think.
But you've gone to the effort, so you know, got to do these things.
This is our Alison Wonderland workshop. This is where the magic happens for our cats when they come to vets. As you can see, we do have a little hoist there, so they can be lifted up. They can do some work underneath them. I'm guessing everyone has ridden this ride. Yeah. Oh, you haven't? Oh my goodness. Get your phone out and get ready to take some photos. So we are going to go in. We're going to swing by some of the scenes inside, and then we're going to exit into another ride. Alright, so when we get there, Jack will give you some information on that ride. You probably think you already know. But we're going to go this way, guys. Let's go.
Spend all the details. You'll notice when you whiz them past them.
Just come on, do. We'll just step on the door and that orange wire.
Oh. Random cat. Right, so we've just been inside Alice and we've just gone through a little trapdoor, and I've got a sneaking suspicion this might lead us to the Grand National. You'll see in a second.
There is some weird facts about the Grand National as well. In March in 2019, this ride had a little bit of a record break. I think it got beat by another ride down south later on. Does anyone know what record it held?
Is that all the naked people that rode it?
It was, yes. So 195 naked people came on the ride.
I hope you've cleaned the seats.
This is what
That's why they're in bits. Okay, cool, good stuff. Right, well, we just saw Grand National there, and what was interesting was the obvious question of, will it ever be on 4 trains? And they said, hopefully it will, eventually. So that's good news, because I think we all want to see it back on 4. But we didn't get out on the platform because Well, they're doing a chunk of work right now, so we're now going to swap and do the ghost train. See you over there.
This ride originates from 1930, although it isn't the original version. It's actually slightly further down that way, and it's moved. It's had a second level added to it. But when it first went in, it was called the Pretzel Ride. And remember what I said in the opening sort of spiel this morning about how we were borrowing ideas from American amusement parks. Well, this is very much one of those, because originally when it came over, it was what was called a pretzel ride. A pretzel doesn't mean anything to anyone in the 1930s in the UK, but there are some similarities between a pretzel ride and a ghost train. A pretzel ride is named after the shape of the track, but it's effectively cars that go through a series of rooms and may be themed in some way. Now, in those days, rides lived or died by the number of tickets that were sold, and because pretzel didn't mean anything to anyone, this was a failure. But it also coincided with there being a film and a play called The Ghost Train out at this time. Depending on who you ask, depends on who came up with the idea, but I'm going, because they're my bosses with the Thompson family, decided that it was going to be called The Ghost Train, and we put spooky scenes around the ride, which they did, and then it was an instant hit after that. So we make the claim that every other ghost train in the world, the name was originated from this one. Okay, and you can see one of the little turntables here, and they're similar to what you probably saw, although they have a piece of track that they drop in, which you probably just saw on Alice, hopefully. And this is so that we can take cars on and off. So I say one of the cars has been problematic, rather than having to shut the whole ride down and so on, we can actually take cars off. We've got a little holding area here that we can have, but then we also have a lot of our rides have a secondary sort of on-site maintenance bay at the ride, which is hidden, which allows us to do work on the ride, and whilst the ride is still running, and you wouldn't even know they were there. And in fact, we're going to show you two on this little bit of a tour. And one of them is really small and pokey, so we'll come to that at the end. But we're going to go in the first one, which is kind of the main one first, which is just through here. Again, sorry, but watch your head. Okay? So we're in the maintenance bay for the ghost train, the main maintenance bay. You can obviously see how we've got cars in here, and then they put little serviceable, like you probably just saw with the cats in Alice, so that if we're having to move cars around or take a car off or whatever, we know which ones we can have on the system. They usually run, they can run I think up to 11 cars on this at any one time, and they usually run around 9. It's actually, I don't normally say this, but I'll say this because they're not listening, but our ride operators on this ride are actually really quite skilled in that it's a real knack to moving the cars down. So when they come into the offload bit, when you get out the car, and then you have to nudge it through by putting an electrical charge through each section. There's a load of little sections of track in the station area in order to get the car down to the low bit where you get into the car. Now with ride operation, what you ideally want is a flow to it, because when it's at a good flow, it means that you've got a good throughput, and it means the queues are shorter for you guys and so on. It's made really difficult these days by adding all in extra things. So we, on a ride now, you can have the regular queue, an easy pass queue, a speedy pass queue. You might even have other bits and pieces. Like in the case of Icon, we have other stuff going on as well. So it's actually really hard to kind of get that rhythm. So they do a really good job. And then to make it even worse for them on this ride, next time you get into the ghost train, just listen to what's going on, because it's a really, really noisy ride to work on. And when you're sat in the console, it's really difficult to hear what's going on and so on. So the guys on this ride do a really, really, really good job. In here, one of the other things you can see is that we've got part of the chain system for that. We obviously have an upward chain and a downward chain, but they're all actually the same chain. There's one chain which is doing this whole section through there, and then you get that nice little sort of drop at the end where it detaches from and rolls into the bit, which is my favourite part. Right, so we're going to have a look inside. But one of the good things about this ride is we also have various cut-throughs and so on. So we are going to just sort of take a walk around to the sort of trommel section, which is the rotating bit with that sort of weird illusion that makes you feel like the car's tilting over. But when we do, that little curtain over there, you're welcome to, don't go through it, but you're welcome to poke your head through it and have a look, and you'll see what section of the ride you're in, which is section 1. We're currently at the end of the ride, which is section 4, and it's split into those 4 sections across the 2 levels, all right? And that cut through becomes very useful at Halloween when we are putting actors into the ride, because it means that one actor can do multiple scares throughout, which obviously makes it cheaper and quicker. Okay?
Ah. Who knew? That's the hold on, tough. I can get this light on so you can see me. Oh, there we go. That's the boiler room right opposite the bikes. Now going into the trommel tunnel. Also, Blackpool can make a trommel tunnel work. Merlin seemed to not be able to. Don't know why. Thank you very much.
So again, this is another little hidden maintenance room that you wouldn't even necessarily know was here, but again allows engineering to carry out works during the day with the ride just through a door there, carrying on. And you'll find that a lot, particularly on the dark rides. If you've seen, we've got a whole section on Wallace and Gromit where we can do the same with the slippers and so on. And you saw that obviously the works area, hopefully, when you had a look through Alice as well.
Right, we're heading over this way. We did just see Victus swinging, which was fantastic. One thing I didn't mention, but they've told us, is that this year both Alice and Ghost Train have added cameras. So in the Ghost Train it's on that dip, and on Alice it's just when you go inside the building. So if, like me, you enjoy collecting ride photos, there's 2 new ones for 2026.
That'll fill 2 of the empty frames in the room.
Oh yeah, there we go. If you know, I've got a whole wall in my bedroom of ride photos, so there's a couple more I can add. Right, let's see what's next, shall we?
In terms of these Arrow coasters, there were 2 of them. Ours was actually the second one. There's one, this is from 1977. In 1976, a 4-lane version of this opened at Knoxbury Farm, which originally had a motorcycle theme to it. And what's weird is that the motorcycles, there were 3 motorcycles joined together in a row, so that's how you were riding it originally. That only lasted for about 4 years before they turned it into, you might be familiar with a ride called Wacky Soapbox Racers, which was the version of it that came after where you were sat effectively in a almost like a lock flume style car riding on the tracks of it. Their version of the ride lasted for 20 years. I think it closed in around 1996, something like that. And our one is obviously still going. So we're going to have a look underneath the ride. I think all of you know this opened in 1977. It's an Arrow ride. Obviously we've got 3 lanes on it. It was opened by Red Rum, the famous horse. That's why we've got the sign round the corner, round there. Again, not so bad, but there is a corner piece where we're going to go underneath the station now and have a look, and you'll realise how big it is. But there is a bit where, I know I'm on a loop, but please watch your head on the first bit as we go in, all right? Just watch yourself, so you step back, just watch this. There you go. Feel free to have a nice look.
It's a lot bigger than you expect.
It is, isn't it?
Right, we're going to go for a wander through some of the track, because Andy's going to show us where there used to be a block break. But I can see, and Andy's already confirmed, they've been doing some painting in the closed season, so some of the track is very, very fresh and brightly coloured. So that section up there, which hopefully I can zoom in on later, is nice and shiny. Right, see you in a minute.
In the track, the main electricity cable goes down one of the, I always get this wrong, so I can't remember which one it is, but 2 of the tracks are more key than one of the others, because one's got the electric supply going through it, and the other one's got the airline cable for the brakes as well. Okay, so it's not just a case of the tracks that haven't got anything going through them. Okay. And then we would normally open, if it's an off-peak day, we'll normally open with 2 tracks. I think there's only once in the last 10 years when, and I was having a ride availability drama, and so we opened it with 1 lane, which wasn't very exciting. It's only happened once, but normally this would open with 2 lanes, and then if it's a busy day, we'll have 3 lanes.
Right, I love this. I've been in here before, but this is the transfer track, or the DMAG for the big one. because you'll see up there is the station with the train on the track. There can be a train on this track, and then there is actually somewhere down there, which you can't really see, there is actually a third track in the pit. So they can have 3 trains stacked in this thing, which is impressive. I've never actually seen it move in person, but I have seen footage of it. So let's see what they tell us. But this is all the PLU, the computers that run the thing. It looks like something from the 70s. I mean, it was the 90s, but yeah, that's what it takes to run the big one.
As the story goes, Jeffrey went over to City Point Road, a Magnum XL 200, and he decided that he wanted one here, but he wanted it bigger and better. And that's what we got. We got the tallest and steepest at the time roller coaster in the world, and it is still the longest roller coaster in Europe. It's over 1 mile in length. The track length itself. That was held by the Ultimate at Lightwater Valley, but that's unfortunately closed down and it's been stripped down now. So we've got that record back, and it is the longest roller coaster in Europe. The boards behind you, the blue boards behind you. That is all the panels for the controls for the DMAG. The DMAG is what we call our transfer tracks, and the DMAG is management DMAG is the actual name for the system which controls this. And then these boards are just over here. You'll see some labelling there. It says, we call it RPLC. Basically, what it is the ride computer and everything which runs the ride, all the sensors, everything that we need to know in console, the dispatch buttons, all of it's controlled by these 2 computers. So the one that's quite off on its own here, that's what we call RPLC 1, and then these 2 boards here, as you can see it's labelled just there, RPLC 2. It is just computers, and this ride runs off 2 computers, and they're constantly checking what each other are doing. So they're doing the same thing, but they're just checking to make sure that each other are working correctly. And if one of them spots just one error, it'll cause the ride to go into an E-stop. For whatever reason, it might be that one's noticed that the train's going too fast, but the other one hasn't. Whatever reason. So yeah, we call that handshaking.
So we've had a lot of horse racing today. We've had the Grand National, we've had Steeplechase, and with the weather I feel like we're having a duck race, so that was why I did take a name. Okay, whoever comes first and second in this duck race will get to go up to the console with Ben. He'll show you a bit about the console, might even let you press a button or 2 since no one locked it off. So we are going to do this duck race. I don't know how far you can see from the back, but I will shout it out. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, and our ducks are off. We've got Matthew in first, Karen in second, and Paul M on his own in third. Claire's now in third place, but Mark and Paul is going backwards. CT is now taking first place with Karen and Carly. Jessica, swim quicker, Jessica. We've got Claire in first, CT in second, and Matthew in third. We've got 12 seconds left. Claire's way ahead of CT. Karen's now in 4th place. Karen, who's not a Karen. We've got Claire, CT, and Carly. But who's going to win? It's Claire! Claire is in first, and CT is in second. Look at that. You 2 are going to the console.
So, I'll talk to you a little bit about how this console works. So, got all the buttons here. Very weird system of how the buttons actually work is if you press this button down, it closes the restraints. Okay. But you actually pull it up to open the restraints. This is the dispatch button. These are all of the brake areas on the right. We've got ready brake, which is the one that's just out here. Safety brake is around the corner from that. The block brake is by Big Blue Hotel, and the lifter. Same thing. You push it in to close the brake or stop the area from moving, and then you pull it up to open the brake. Any questions about the console?
Where's your siren?
Siren? Yeah, I was going to get to that. So this sneaky little button at the side here, it's one of the way that the siren works. I think it's something that whirls round and spins round. So the longer you press it, the faster and louder it gets. Wow. So that's usually why we actually use the siren for a natural purpose, to let people know that the train's about to start moving. There's usually a good time for pressing it. So I'd say that's probably good enough. Or you can maybe go a little bit longer if the station's quite noisy, but if you do it for too long, it's kind of deafening.
Yes,
really.
I've experienced that. Right, well, there you go. I, complete fluke, managed to be selected to get up there into the ride-up panel and see how that all works. Just fascinating to see it from that angle. We've all been on the big one many, many times, but you don't often get to go up there. So definitely, that is a fantastic little addition. It's chucking it down. It was meant to rain. See you in a minute.
You get some, sometimes you don't.
They've fixed the peeling off paint there, and now there's peeling paint down there. I don't know how well this phrase is known, but back home, that's like painting the Forth Road Bridge. Never ending. But Forth Rail Bridge, not Forth Road Bridge. Anyway, let's go see Icon, shall we? Right, this is fascinating, because last time I did this, it was Enzo that was in bits, and this time it is one of the normal trains, and you can see here, all stripped down, just down to the bare bones, ready to doing its maintenance. You can see all the inner gubbins and how it all works and stuff. The ones over there was a few that you can see, the kind of hydraulic systems, there's like one on either side for redundancy and stuff. It's fascinating to see these in bits. And I don't know if it picked up on the camera earlier, but they were saying that this pattern here, this pattern that everybody thinks is a snake, is actually the wallpaper from coasters. The next time you're in coasters, getting yourself a quesadilla, if they still do quesadillas, or a burrito, take a look at the walls. That's where this pattern comes from. Who knew? It's not every day you get to go up to one of these and touch the wheels. All sets. These things are absolutely filthy. I was going to say absolutely massive. But yeah, it is just fascinating to see underneath. And obviously there's the giant magnets there for the launch and the brakes. Like it's just, you just don't appreciate that this is here when you love the hat. I look great, don't I? What we?
There's the random blue wheel.
The random blue wheel. Yeah, there's one wheel that for whatever reason is a different colour. I think that's the cold wheel and that's the hot wheel. I'm joking. Right, anyway. Yeah, you don't kind of appreciate that this is here. There's like, this is the two transfer tracks. So if you've never seen this before, basically the storage lockers over there, if I can get round here, you might be able to see them. Like that there is the back of the storage lockers that you put your bag in. And that basically slides all the way across here, lines up with either this track or this track, and then the trains go in and out, which is fantastic. Really, really easy to do transfers. It's just there's so much going on here, like so many bits and pieces, and like there's one there that's minus all its wheels. Well, this one here, you can see all the gubbins underneath, and all the designs here. This is all the tech specs for the trains and stuff, which means absolutely nothing to a layman like me. I just get on it and enjoy myself, but it's fascinating to see, and you don't really appreciate how much work goes into these. They've clearly got a boatload of spare wheels, and I hate to think how expensive. I think these are used wheels, because that one looks like it's well and truly worn out. If you've ever seen these in the shop, they cost a pretty packet. They are not cheap. I might actually ask how many times they can reuse a wheel, because I know sometimes they strip them down, and other times other parks get new wheels every time. So I'll go and find that out, and I'll let you know. It's absolutely fascinating to see all the kind of stuff that's here. Obviously, most of this means absolutely nothing to me, apart from queue jumping. I hate queue jumping. I need to get rid of that. But you know, all this the stuff about different paperwork and all the different spare pieces and stuff, and manuals, which again mean nothing to me. It is just incredible how much there is. And then I'm pretty sure, well, obviously the season hasn't started yet, but over here, I've seen this before, they obviously have their kind of weekly, monthly sort of routine that they have to go through. And some mascots as well, because you know, you need a mascot for your ride. Right, we've just come out that little door there from the maintenance shed, and this is the return section. This is where you come back into the station at the end, and then if you go around here, this is the final brake section. It's very soggy, very, very wet. But yeah, around there, there's your final brake section for the ride. It's been in here before, and it is fascinating to see up close just how all this track works. Of course, there's the non-inverting Junior Immelman. Somebody will correct me if I've got that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the name of that element there. And then of course there's coasters, so in there, take a look for that wallpaper. I will certainly be paying attention. In fact, I can kind of see it there a little bit, but it looks kind of grey. So next time when I'm in here for opening weekend, I might go in coasters, get myself some grub, and check out the wallpaper. Right, I'll wrap this up in a minute, but now it's time to have a little snack. Put on some sandwiches, some crisps, tea and coffee, and drinks. So, or juice. Carly's got juice because she doesn't do tea or coffee. So I'll have this and then I'll speak to you in a second. Right, well that brings the tour to an end. And just after I grabbed some grub there, we also got some bits and pieces. I've got some bearings here from, I think, Infusion, not 100% sure. I've got two because Carly's with me, obviously, and a postcard. So just to recap then, what we saw there was we went into Stageworx, which obviously you didn't see, but it's fascinating. That was Carly's favourite bit. Her eyeballs just went pa-ching! And then we did Alice, the Ghost Train, we did the big one, we did Steeplechase, and we did Icon, which is a hell of a lot, and I think the tickets were about 50 quid. I cannot compliment the behind the scenes here enough. Like, the guys are so knowledgeable. It's just so relaxed atmosphere. Like, we've been here for, like, we started at 9:30. It's now 1 o'clock. So, you know, that's what, 3.5 hours? Like, it's been a decent tour. And a little bit of grub, a couple of sandwiches, and a tea and coffee. It's just fantastic. So I highly encourage. Obviously, it's going to get tricky when the season's running because they can't do this when the park's active. But if you get the opportunity to come on one of these, I honestly cannot recommend it highly enough. The team are just fantastic. Right, one thing I forgot to say, I did ask Andy when I was in there, because I've done the tour before, and I did wonder, we saw different things this time to what I saw last year. What he did say is they've got around about 10 different things they can show. And it is kind of randomised, so if you have done it before, there is a decent chance that you will see something new if you were to go on it again. There's loads and loads of bits. Obviously, if one ride is closed for whatever reason, they can just switch it up and put something else in. So if you have been before, I highly recommend going again, because there is a very good chance, like I saw things today that I did not see the last time. And there's still other bits I still haven't seen. I've not done Infusion, and I think they did Nickelodeon Streak at one point. So definitely a redoable behind the scenes. Anyway, if you have done this, let me know what you think. And as always, I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad. See ya in the next one. Adios.